What up? Welcome to my Tawnos Urza's Apprentice. This is a higher power level kind of trash magic key commander deck. I was brewing this because I was just looking through cards and I saw this guy and I'm like, oh, this guy looks pretty cool. He can do like cool things, so let me look him over. He's a 2 mana 1/3. Pretty alright. He's got haste, and for a blue and a red, you can tap him to copy target activated or triggered ability you control from an artifact source. You may choose new targets for the copy, which is alright. Realistically, what this means is you can tap them, copy your Soul Ring tap, or copy whatever. And this deck, after a little bit, I realized it can do some really, really dumb things. It's also not too expensive, coming in at 170, which, I mean, I guess price is subjective to the player. And yeah, it's called Urza's Apprentice, selling degeneracy. Just like Urza, he'd be so proud. So yeah, Tawnos, already been over. The deck is like an artifact deck. This originally started as artifact value, and then it kind of grew into something else. So there's a lot of artifacts and a lot of artifact related cards. Like Aetherflux Reservoir, which, yeah, pretty good card. At the end there will be a primer about some of the combos that I figured out and looked up when building the deck, and we'll go over how they work. But yeah, this is technically part of one of them. It's also just a very, very good card. And you can pay 50 life, copy the effect, and deal 50 to 2 players. Pretty cool. Arcane Signet is Arcane Signet. Basalt Monolith is in the deck is just like a 3. You can kind of do good stuff with it. There's a lot of untapping, so you don't usually have to pay the 3 to untap it. Campfire is in here for mainly gaining 2 life. You can use the second effect, but yeah, no, this is mainly in here to gain 2 life, and that's for Aetherflux Reservoir as well as other cards. Actually, no, it's pretty much only for Aetherflux Reservoir. Yeah. Chalice of Life and Chalice of Death is in here because it's combos. Yeah. This is used in a loop, which is why it gets played as an alternate win con. Credit vouchers in here to tap, sack an artifact, sack this artifact. Shuffle a number of cards from your hand into your library, then draw that many cards. A lot of the loops, or some of the combos in the deck, will require you to have cards in your deck. So if they're in your hand, it just doesn't work, and you'll either have to find another route for the combo, or if you have this on board, you can sack it, make sure that they're in your deck. Obviously, it shuffles and then redraws, so it's not perfect, but it's better than nothing, and it's an artifact, so it works in the deck. Elixir of Immortality's in here, same reason why. If the artifact that you want has gone to the graveyard, because, I don't know, you're up against a mill player, or you played it early and it got blown up, you can bring it back to your deck. Fellwar Stone is a Fellwar Stone. Fire Diamond is in here as an artifact that taps for mana. You can't just pay a black and a red, or a blue and a red, and it taps for 2 red instead, which kind of like a filter in a weird way. Iceron Scepter's in the deck because this does really degenerate things with artifacts when you have a lot of mana rocks, and we're running a lot of mana rocks. Izzet Signet in the deck is a mana rock. Lightning Greaves in here is protection. It's cheap. Yeah, it's mainly just protection. Mind Stone is a mana rock. Mirage Mirror can kind of do some crazy things. Also, I think it's just a really cool card. You can just have it copy like other people's threats as well. Planar Bridge is in here as a win con. This is part of the main win con I built the deck around. Or the first one I planned, but it can also, I don't know, it's just a good generic card. You pay 2 extra, you get 2 permanents. Repurposing Bay is in here as kind of like a birthing pot for artifacts. This lets you find specific artifacts for your combos, or just upgrade your 2 mana rocks into 3 mana rocks. Or yeah. Sands of Time is the main combo piece in the deck. This is an old card. It's pretty obscure, but it's each player skips their untap step. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player simultaneously untaps each tapped artifact, creature, and land they control, and taps each untapped artifact, creature, and land they control. What this means is you just tap everything on your untap before this triggers, or you do it in response to this trigger, and then you just get everything untapped. It's very, very easy to play around. I think this was made back when mana burn was a thing, so there was actually a bit of reason why you would or wouldn't do it, but yeah. This is the main combo piece in the deck, and I'll explain that. Skull Rack same reason as I'm running the other card. It's to shuffle cards from your hand into your library and draw that many cards instead. Sky Diamond's a mana rock, Soul Ring's a mana rock, Swiftfoot Boots is the same as Lightning Greaves, it's just protection. Mana rock, Millennium Calendar, which is a win con in the deck. Whenever one or more permanents untap, you may put a time counter on Millennium Calendar, and you can pay 2 tap it, double the number of time counters on the Millennium Calendar. When there are 1,000 or more, you sacrifice it and it deals 1,000, or each opponent loses 1,000 life. Thought Vessel, Mana Rock, Vexing Puzzle Box is a combo piece in one of the lines. It's a 3-mana Mana Rock, as well as you can remove 100 charge counters, which you get from rolling the d20 when you tap it. And you search your library for an artifact, put that card on the battlefield, then shuffle. Yeah, this is a good card. Onto the battles, we're running one. It's our Invasion of Arcavios. Arcavios. So yeah, this is a siege. When it enters the battlefield, search your library, graveyard, and or outside the game for an instant or sorcery card you own. Reveal it, put in your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle. This is mainly in here to get cards like Dramatic Reversal. You're running Icecrown Scepter, so there's no reason to not get that as well, and then just kind of make infinite mana. As long as you have 3 mana worth of mana rocks, which is pretty easy to do in this deck. On the creatures, we have Duretti. When it enters or attacks, you sack an artifact to bring back an artifact from your trash. This is Artifact Recursion. It's really good for when people are blowing up your stuff. Emery's in here to get artifacts, and it's just like a very good generic card in artifact decks. Enthusiastic Mechanaut makes your artifacts cost 1 less. Ethereum Sculptor, same thing. Forensic Gadgeteer makes your activated abilities cost 1 less. I'll be honest, I didn't actually check how many activated abilities cost more than 1. I know Planar Bridge costs 8. This was in here more for the original deck, but I think it's probably still pretty good. It also investigates on ETB, which is nice. Jor's in here is just free card advantage. Whenever you cast a historic, you draw a card, which is artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. Cap Cannoneer is a win con in every artifact deck, and it's also in this deck because, yeah, whenever an artifact enters, you may put a 1/1 counter. Oh no, it's not may. You just put a 1/1 counter on Cap Cannoneer. It can't be blocked. So this just gets really big if it's left unchecked, which is, yeah, very, very strong. Kurkesh is in here. Whenever you activate an ability of an artifact, if it isn't a mana ability, you may pay red. If you do copy that ability, you may choose new targets for the copy. This is just similar to your commander, so I threw it in. I think it's a fun card. Marvin's in here to, again, copy your commander if your commander gets like Pithing Needled or something. Master Transmuter, you can blue tap, return an artifact to its owner's hand, then you can put an artifact from your hand on the battlefield. So way to cheat out good cards, or, you know, tap a Soul Ring, use a blue, return the Soul Ring, play out something bigger, and then play out the Soul Ring with the mana from the Soul Ring. Pretty cool. You can also bring back Basalt Monolith. It technically isn't mana positive, but you can. Padim's in the deck. Artifacts you control have hexproof. That's pretty much it. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have the artifact the highest mana value, draw a card. This can be good. It's mainly in here for artifacts that have hexproof. Solemn Simulacrum. So you can double trigger the ETB and the death with your commander, which is pretty fun. So on ETB, ramp 2, on death, draw 2. Spellseeker, again, this will just find you a really powerful instant or sorcery. Most likely Dramatic Reversal, but you could fight and counter spells and stuff too. Thought Monitor, 1 mana, 2/2, draw 2. Very good card. Trophy Mage, search for a artifact with CMC 3. Realistically, this is getting you Puzzle Box. Originally, Solemn Simulacrum was in the deck, or Simulacrum Synthesizer was in the deck, and I wanted to build a deck around that, and I didn't like that much, so yeah. It's kind of in here from that, but it can find you a bunch of good 3-cost artifacts. Mirror Maid on ETB, copy an artifact or enchantment. You're running a lot of really good artifacts, might as well. Unstoppable Plan, at the beginning of your end step, untap all non-land permanents. This is like mini Seedborn Muse, but worse. It's not a creature though, so it's easier, or it's harder to get rid of. But it's only on your end step. Meh. Arcane Now, counterspell. Removal, counterspell. Board wipe. Non-historic board wipe, so it doesn't hit your artifacts. Ooh. This card goes crazy with Icecrown Scepter. Realistically, so yeah, untap all non-land permanents you control. You play Icecrown Scepter, you tuck this under it. If you have 3 mana from non-land permanents, so your mana rocks, You pay 2, tap the Iskron, copy this, untap all your mana rocks, and you're generating 1 mana or however many extra mana above 2 for every activation. And this also untaps Iskron Scepter. So yeah. Lightning Bolt as an Iskron Scepter target also just dies to Bolt, right? Muddle the Mixture is a 2 mana counter instant or sorcery, which is nice for board wipes and, you know, removal spells, as well as you can just transmute it for 3. So you can discard it and then search your library with the card with the same converted mana value, which would be 2. Yeah, this finds you counterspell other counterspells, I guess. It finds you Dramatic Reversal mainly. Or if you want a 2 mana rock or something. Negates counterspell, pongifies removal, sows Rabid Hybridization. Reality Heist is kind of 2 mana, look at top 7 and reveal up to 2 artifacts and put them into your hand. So like a dig through time, but specific to artifacts. I think it's pretty good. Depends how many artifacts you can play it early, but yeah, I think it's a good value piece. Where was I? The Reality Shift, removal. I like the new art from Aether Drift. I think it looks very pretty. Resculpt is Resculpt, War of Invention, 3 mana and X with Improvise. Search your library for an artifact card with converted mana value X or less, put on the battlefield and shuffle. Is a tutor. Yeah, it's a tutor for, like, I don't know, whatever artifact you want. Let's go to the sorceries. We got Fabricate, tutor and artifact. Merchant Scroll, tutor and instant or sorcery. Reckless Handling, tutor and artifact, but it's a gamble effect, and then if you discard a artifact, not the one that you search, but any, it deals 2 to each opponent, which is interesting. Reshape is as initial cost. Sacrifice it, search your library for an artifact with converted mana cost X or less, and put it into play. So yeah, similar to War of Invention, but you have to sacrifice a mana or an artifact instead. Solve the equation, searches for instant or sorcery. Thoughtcast is 1 mana, draw 2. Trash for Treasure is similar to the Duretti. Sacrifice an artifact, return an artifact from your graveyard to the battlefield. You can also just like sack a 2 mana rock and bring back a Planar Rage that was milled or was removed by an opponent. And then I am running a Planeswalker. I'm running the Duretti, so you can -2 sack an artifact and then return artifact. That's mainly why I'm running it. You can also +2 to draw 2 then, or discard 2 then draw that many cards. I don't think I've actually ever read the emblem on this. Whenever an artifact was put in your graveyard, return that card to the battlefield at the end of the next sunset. That's pretty cool. I don't think you're ever going to -10 on this guy though, if I'm being honest. Yeah, this is mainly here for artifact recursion. Onto the lands. Pretty basic list. I'm only running 34 because the curve of this deck is extremely low. I mean, just mulligan for 2 lands and you'll probably be fine. Archway of Innovation, 1 tap, next spell you cast has Improvise, which is nice, which means your artifacts can help pay for it. Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Fiery Islet, it taps for both. Nice. Frostbow Snarl, because we're running a lot of basics. Artifact Land, Mountain, Island, Mystic Sanctuary. I feel like this is good in pretty much every blue deck that runs enough islands. Artifact Land, Shivan Reef, Silver Bluff Bridge is an artifact land, which is nice. Stormcarved Coast, yeah, Sulphur Falls, Temple of Epiphany for the Scry. Alright, yeah, sure, let's do the Maybeboard, because why not? So these were cards that were originally in the deck that I didn't really put in, or I took it just because the deck didn't really fit them. So Illusion Bracers, you can equip it, and then whenever you activate an ability of that commander, or of the equipped creature, you copy it. Which is cool, because then you can make 2 copies of whatever from your commander. But I found it wasn't really doing much with the deck, so I kind of took it out. Mechanized Production is specifically in the Maybeboard, because you could also run Mirror Battlesphere. If you have Mechanized Production on board, you play Mirror Battlesphere, you create 4, you use your commander to double the ETB effect, you make 8 Mirror. Mechanized Production says on your upkeep, if you have 8 of the same token or artifact, you win the game. So it's a cool little thing you can do with your commander. One with the Machine is 4 mana, draw cards equal to the highest mana value among artifacts you control. You just don't run that many expensive artifacts. You run Planar Bridge, that's about it. Which I almost wanted to scrap from the deck because of that reason, but it's using the combo. So Healy's Directive, this card just looks sick. I want to put this in a deck that just goes really wide with artifacts. So it has improvise and then reveal top X cards of your library. You may put any number of artifact cards with converted mana cost extra list from among them on the battlefield. And you put all cards revealed this way that weren't put on the battlefield into your graveyard. So it's like a Genesis wave effect, but artifact specific, which I think is pretty cool. And also it has improvise, which is nice. Synthesizer was originally in the deck. Because I want to build a synth deck. I think this card is stupid. I mean, the price suggests the same. It's like a $40 card on TCG, 65 on Card Kingdom. There we go, I remembered. Yeah, whenever another artifact with mana value 3 or greater enters, you make a construct. Unfortunately, it's just you're not running enough 3 or greater artifacts for it to be good. An Unwinding Clock because it's an Unwinding Clock in an artifact deck, but with how combo-y it is, it doesn't really matter. I'll quickly go through the Recs. I was looking through them earlier. I don't think there was much really. Buried Ruin and Academy Ruins, obviously both very good lands. Inventor's Fair, you can sack it to search for an artifact as well. So they're not too bad. Obviously the good lands. Goblin Engineer can bring back a artifact with CMC 3 or less by sacking an artifact. You can copy more artifacts, obviously that's good. Liquid Metal Torque, Mirror Works, Rings of Bright Hearth are really nice. But yeah. Oh yeah, obviously just Urza. Like, why not? But yeah, alright, let's go to the combos. Let's go to a little bit of a primer. Oh god, I didn't realize that happened. Alright, cool. This is the board state. We got Tawnos on board, we got Jordan. This card's irrelevant to the board. We ignore that, that's just there. We have a Sands of Time on board, and we have a Vexing Puzzle Box on board. Let's see how easily I can demonstrate this. So, you go to your upkeep, trigger of Sands of Time on the stack. In response to the trigger, you want to tap down everything. This is going to make you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? Yeah. You're going to make 7 mana. And you're going to roll a d20. Let's say you put on 10 counters. With 2 of the 6 mana, you tap this to copy the trigger. The copied trigger happens. You untap everything. And you essentially loop this until you have enough stacks on your Vexing Bauble, and then on one of them you remove 100, you search your library for a Planar Nexus. I should just search. Planar Nexus enters, you have infinite mana because you've been just infinitely tapping on tapping as well, you're being mana positive. So now with Planar Bridge at some point you can search. At this point you would search, I don't know, whatever you want. Take a Spellseeker. Spellseeker would enter. I actually don't think you need the Spellseeker, but yeah, you can play the Spellseeker. You can then do an Isochron Scepter with the Spellseeker, obviously adding Dramatic Reversal. So then when this happens, you do that. And then if you have mana rocks, you just go mana infinite with that. You can kind of just tutor whatever from the deck. If you have a lot of life, you can tutor out Aetherflux Reservoir. You can bring out Marvin as well, and then you can start double stacking stuff. Chalice of Life will then let you infinitely tap. Same with Campfire with the infinite mana. Obviously this one will flip after a while, and then you can start paying people for 5. Or if you have Campfire instead, you can just slowly get enough life to have infinite life and then Aetherflux the entire board. Second one, what is this? Oh yeah, this is the same thing. Campfire, Chalice of Life. You don't actually need the Planar Nexus, it can find you these, and Aetherflux obviously. Emisal Monolith, you know. Alright, third one, we have Millennium Calendar. As long as there's one counter on this during the upkeep, if you're going mana positive, so here for example I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you do your infinite tappy taps and you're tapping this for 2 of the extra, you're just doubling the counters every time. So you go 2, 4, 8, 16, etc. up to 1,000, and then you just win the game. So yeah, that's the deck. That's the very, very degenerate deck. Obviously, you could play this not degenerately. You could throw in Simulacrum Synthesizer and do a bunch of like 4 or 5 mana artifacts, and then just keep copying the Simulacrum Synthesizer. play cards that untap your commander. There's a lot of really cool things you can do with this deck. I decided to build like Trash Magic combo. Obviously, if you want to like fully commit to that, you just throw in a lot of like expensive mana rocks, you upgrade the land base, and the deck's suddenly not $170. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. This came out on Tuesday because I was just tired on Monday. Yeah. Alright, goodbye. Thank you very much for watching.